The Pope and the Poor, how Francis champions the marginalized. Have you ever wondered why Pope Francis speaks so often about the poor? Why he always seems to stand with the outcasts and forgotten? For Pope Francis, the Church is not complete unless it walks alongside the poor, because that is exactly where Jesus walked. From the beginning of his papacy, Pope Francis made it clear, the poor are not just a topic of conversation, they are the heart of the gospel. In his first year as Pope, he said, "I want a church that is poor and for the poor." This wasn't just a slogan, it was a radical call to return to the roots of Christianity. Born in Argentina, Francis lived among the working class and saw the struggles of ordinary people firsthand. As a priest, bishop, and cardinal, he visited slums, comforted the homeless, and worked for social justice. As Pope, he has continued that mission with boldness and love. He does not shy away from speaking out against economic inequality, greed, and systems that exploit the weak. He challenges world leaders to remember the faces behind statistics, the single mother struggling to feed her children, the refugee without a home, the elderly man forgotten by society. One of the most powerful moments of his papacy was his visit to the island of Lampedusa in 2013, shortly after becoming Pope. This island, a primary landing point for migrants trying to reach Europe, had just witnessed the deaths of hundreds of refugees at sea. There, Francis prayed for the souls lost and condemned the globalization of indifference. His message was clear, we cannot ignore the suffering around us. But Francis doesn't just talk about the poor, he meets them, embraces them, and listens to them. He has washed the feet of prisoners and immigrants on Holy Thursday, breaking with centuries of tradition to show that no one is beneath God's love. He regularly invites the homeless into the Vatican to eat, sleep, and even receive haircuts. These small acts send a big message, every person has dignity, and the Church must be a home for all. In his encyclical Fratelli Tutti, he calls on the world to build a culture of encounter, where people look beyond borders and divisions to care for one another. He reminds us that our faith must be lived in action. It is not enough to attend Mass or say prayers, we must also serve the least among us, because in doing so, we serve Christ himself. For Pope Francis, helping the poor is not charity, it is justice. It is restoring what was taken and healing what was broken. He believes that the gospel without care for the poor is not the full gospel. That's why he continues to speak, act, and live in solidarity with them. In a world that often celebrates the powerful, Pope Francis turns our eyes to the powerless. He challenges us to listen to the cries of the poor and to respond, not with pity, but with love, service, and change. That is how Pope Francis champions the marginalized. And that is how he calls us to do the same.